Hey there, Squirrel Army. How's it going for today? Today we're doing another one of these sub-commanders from the new March of the Machines commander deck. This is for Moira and Teshar. You can join the Squirrel Army by subscribing. Alright, so when we cast a historic, so a legendary, an artifact, or a saga, we can return a non-land permanent card from our graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste, and we exile it at the beginning of the next end step, and if it also would leave, we exile it instead of putting it anywhere else. So I kind of feel like we want to get rid of the fact that we have to lose it at the end step. That would be one thing that I would want to do. That or create copies of things, creating token copies, etc. So we want to run a lot of artifacts and legendaries. I don't think there's that many amazing sagas, honestly. There are a couple that are okay, but not super duper amazing. But anyway, yeah, getting back something for one turn is good, but it is also kind of a little bit because we don't get to keep it. So we really want to find ways, again, to keep those things from getting gotten rid of at the end of a turn or getting gotten rid of in other ways as well, because it doesn't matter if it would leave afterwards. Yeah, we're already lost it, or we'll already lose it later on as well. But we still want to keep those things as much as what we can, even so. So we've got to find ways to protect our stuff as much as what we can. That might be a little bit hard, but still, it is well worth our time to look at it at least. So this could be quite an interesting commander to build around. I'm almost thinking about building something with it, but I'm already trying to build something else, and I just don't know. It's going to be already too hard to build all the things that I kind of want to build right now, so I'm just not going to. So I'm just doing it for the channel for you guys, since you guys voted for this one to be next up in the line of the sub-commanders. So I'll get right onto it and put this one together for you so you guys can check it out. Alrighty guys, so now I've finished up the list, at least as far as I think I can for now, up to just over $500. I do have some decent lands in the pile here. I didn't go all out with it, but yeah, I did put some decent stuff in there, so there's certainly some decent stuff in some other piles as well, so we've got a fair price here for this one. As I always say now, to sort of start off these lists before we get too far into explaining like what's in this pile, if you're not super interested in me reading through the cards and explaining what they do, explaining their purpose in the deck and why I kind of included them, you can just check out the deck list in the comments there below, because I know some people aren't super duper interested in the explanations and just kind of want to see the whole kind of process here of what is this about, what's it doing. Maybe you'll see a little bit of what the price is and kind of what maybe the distributions or whatnot are and that sort of thing. And then just like, okay, I'm going to proxy it, or I'm going to fiddle with it for myself and see what I think and just play it for myself and figure it out for me. Oops, actually that's not meant to be there. I don't know why that was there. Oops. Just add another land, I think. That was weird. I don't know what. I couldn't even find it before. That was weird. Whatever. Anyway, yeah, if you're not super interested, just check out the list in the comments below. For everyone else, I will get going along with the list as best as what I can. Not going to talk about the lands because there's not too much to really talk about. I think Mycosynth Gardens and Digside are kind of cool for this kind of deck, but the rest is just some good lands that, you know, are in our colours and are just kind of tossed in there. Good utility lands and whatnot. And then it's just basics. So, yeah, not much to talk about there. Not much to talk about in the sorceries because it's just a couple board wipes there. You could run any board wipes you want, so not really much there to say. Instants, again, just a bunch of good removals, so I'm not going to spend much time talking about those. Enchantments. I didn't know why we've got like some. There was actually so much kind of flickering in our colours. I was kind of concerned that we didn't have enough, but I hope we've got enough. But Far Traveller basically is flicker effect as long as we've got our commander. Teleportation circles, flickering stuff. So yeah, those are there. There's some other flicker stuff I'll go through in a minute. But for Phyrexian Reclamation, we can return creatures from our graveyard to our hand by paying 2 mana and 2 life. Pretty well worth it. Very consistent effect. Yes, it doesn't put them to the battlefield, so it doesn't cheat them in, which, you know, something like what's it called? Animate Dead and those sorts of effects do, but I always find that the Animate Dead sort of effects are a one-off for the most part, so I never find them to be that super duper useful. Yes, they can be good with something like Sun Titan or even Elite Scale Lord or whatnot, but outside of that interaction, that's a very rare interaction, honestly, they're not that amazing, I don't think. Like, they are good in that circumstance, but if you're not really doing that thing, it's better just to have something that's consistent and does a thing. Kai's Ghost Form still does a lot of that shenanigans for us with something like Sun Titan or Elite Scale Lord. If we're sacking it and things like that, we can infinitely mill our opponents with something like Altar of Dementia. So there is that, but I still think Kaya's Ghost Form's okay. It's one of the few cards. Actually, I could just cut it for another land, but whatever. It's fine here, I think. It still recurs stuff for us, and it can do some shenanigans here and there. Artifacts. I'm not really going to talk about a lot of the mana rocks that are in here and whatnot, because they're just good mana rocks, so I'm not going to spend time on them. Ultra Dementia, again, I just said that we can find some shenanigans to do with this. I don't know whether we want to mill ourselves more or we want to mill our opponents more, but we are a graveyard deck. But then I do feel like we want to know what we're milling, not just mill willy-nilly. But then again, it is milling, you know, several cards at a time sometimes, so you can't obviously predict that many cards a lot of the time, especially in these colors. So it can be a little bit difficult to predict what we're going to hit. It doesn't really matter when we're milling our opponents, but yeah, we want to know what we're milling, like, because we don't want to mill, like, our instant sorceries and whatnot, obviously, so yeah. Archaeomancer's map and the sword here, I think these are both kind of good for this deck, especially. But they're just good for any deck that's not in green, really, I think. And that's in white, I guess, for Archaeomancer's map. But they both get lands for us. At least the Animist here also comes as a living weapon, so we can sack the creature, and we can do that whole sort of the meek thing with it, I think, as well. So that's kind of funny. Bolas Citadel, it's here for that card advantage. I think you could use it, obviously, to sack a whole bunch of things. I know you could put Divining Top or whatever else in here to essentially draw your whole deck for 1 life or whatever it is. But essentially, you'd only draw 40 cards or 39 or whatever it is, depending on if you gain life or whatever. But then again, that's still really good. I don't know about doing that per se, so I don't think it's worth that much of a space, really. It's really good, definitely, but I don't know. It's not a real combo, I don't think, unless you've got Aether Flux or you can gain life in lots of ways, but still. It's still a really good effect. I don't play it much, but it is a good effect, definitely. Codex Shredder, yeah, we can mill some stuff, but it can also return some of our stuff. So I think, like, doing 2 things, and it's a 1 cost, so it's quite good. It comes up here and there, especially when we know what the top card of our library is, but we can also mill our opponents again, so there's that. Conjurer's Closet for more flickering. Everflowing. Oh no, what am I doing? The Bauble. I don't know if we need this, but it's just a nice, cheap artifact, which counts for historic for our commander, so that's alright, and can draw us cards, so. Mystic Forge, we don't have a million artifacts, but we do have a lot of artifacts in this deck, and it does count for our commander, so I felt like it's well worth our time. Panamonicon will get double ETBs, which, yeah, that's alright too. Timepiece, more milling, and again, we can shuffle our graveyard back in, and we want to do that when people, same with the other one before, we want to do that when people are going to exile our stuff for the most part, or if we're about to mill out. Like, that's when we want it. Sundial, because, well, we need to look at ways to end the turn. I would like a few more tutors, like permanent tutors or tutors that are historic, etc. But it's still alright. Actually, we could have put in the... actually, doesn't it only get artifacts, I think, or mana rocks, rather? I don't know. But anyway, I was thinking of an artifact that tutors, but anyway, it's still really good. Sort of Hearth and Homes here for the land ramp and the flickering. Both of those are good. Vat of Rebirth, we are killing some of our stuff. We do have a sacrifice sort of sub-theme, but also our stuff will just die naturally, so that's okay. And we do have a lot of artifacts as well, like treasures and whatnot going on and things like that, so can get lots of counters on it real quick, but again, it's more recursion, so again, that's, and permanent recursion, so that's what we want. And again, it's an artifact, so our commander likes that. Well, our commander just likes historics. But anyway. Arden. Well, he's a historic, so he's pretty good. Plus, he flickers anything that we want, or any number of things that we want, then makes a whole bunch of soldiers when he leaves. So we want to flicker him too. Plus, again, flickering him will keep counting for other effects and whatnot. So it's alright there, making those 1/1s as well. Actually, I wanted to put in... whatever it was, the Divine Visitation, but I forgot about it. Damn. Oh well. Anyway, the Angel, it does get rid of some stuff, but it is like an artifact, so that's kind of what we care about. Plus, we can cycle it away into our graveyard when we don't really need it. Plus, again, it is a 7-drop, so it is pretty expensive. Same with Ashen Rider, it's pretty expensive. Only just gets rid of something, so I'm not a huge fan of it. I could actually see us getting rid of the Ashen Rider. It's not that amazing, but whatever. It's fine, I guess. Aetherios. I like both of the Aetherios. Actually, I forgot about putting the other Aetherios in here as well. Smart boy. But anyway, we can put coin counters on stuff, and then when they die or are put into exile, we turn them to the battlefield under our control. So that's really useful, especially with our commander happening to exile our stuff. So we just want to put it on our stuff. Oops. So that we can save our stuff for the most part, because there's only one per turn or whatever. Cataclysmic Gearhulk, it's a nice artifact that board wipes our opponents, so it leaves them with one of each thing or whatever, but yeah, whatever. Like, they will choose their best things for the most part, but still, like, when they're down to one creature, one artifact, one enchantment, and one planeswalker, that seems alright still. We can deal with that, I'm pretty sure. The Mender, I don't care about the gaining life, I care about the card draw, and we want to sack this thing and repeatedly recur it to get value out of it. Doom Whisperer, just pay 2 life to surveil 2. That's really useful, yeah, to get those cards in our graveyard when we need them. And know what's on the top and whatnot. Hellish Dawn, again, that whole ghostly prison effect is just so good. having to get our opponents to pay 2 life unless they pay a mana for each damage that they do to us. That's really good. Or our creatures and whatnot, so that's real good. The other Elish Norn, we've got 2 Elish Norns out of I think 3, is it, or whatever. So yeah, but Panharmonicon again, really good, and shutting down our opponent's ETBs, really powerful. Esper's here for card draw. Yawgmoth's here for card draw. Gary, just classic Gary, just drains everyone's life. So he's pretty good. Scale Lord recurs stuff and can keep growing throughout the game and keep getting back bigger and bigger things. So there's not a huge amount of ways to get counters in this deck, but I still feel like the potential is there. So I do feel it can be well worth it. Karmic Guide, I like that it has Echo, so we can get it in the graveyard and recur it later and things like that. There are a few weird things with that and whatnot, but still, I actually like it with this because we want to have things in our graveyard for the most part, so, and we can recur things, so we'll get them back eventually. Urza's Battlethopter, I like the flash, or being able to play it flash, and again, that can be very useful, and when we cast spells, it can get counters, so, and plus it's an artifact, so again, Commander cares about that. Plus it can have flash, so useful. The Tolarian, it's one of those things that it's a legend and it kind of does something, I guess. It's not that amazing, but it can be useful and it can be a political tool to a degree, so that's okay, I guess. So, yeah. Lurrus, of course, we've got a bunch of stuff that is 2 or less. So it can be well worth, recurring that stuff and whatnot. Milliken, like, again, we want to know what's on top for the most part, but milling ourselves to add mana seems alright. We want mana dorks or we want mana rocks, so adding to our synergy and our strategy really helps out what we're trying to do. The Death Mark, we can kill a thing and then the player who we killed mills some cards. So we can kill our own thing, which can be useful in certain circumstances. But again, this is a very repeatable effect again, so we can kill multiple people's things sometimes, so it can be very useful again. So Noxious Gearhulk, again, very repeatable in this deck, so it's much more well worth it in a deck like this, where it can actually be utilized. Thopter's here for mana. Oswald to tutor stuff. The Vanisher, it can make us some tokens, and it can sacrifice those tokens to exile something. So yeah. So, but yeah, it's one of those things that it's not the most amazing, but it is a legend. So, Demon, tutoring on a stick, pretty darn useful. Plus, it's repeatable. So, and we have a few things we want to sack. Scrap Trawler, again, we're in that sack plan, so we want to be able to recur things, and we want to recur them pretty easily. Sheldred, I think this is a pretty useful card sometimes. Just being able to kill our opponent's stuff. Plus, again, it's a legend that helps with our commander's ability. I'm not too sure about the other side. I'm always hard to remember what the other sides do because you always just see the front sides, but still, I don't know. It can do stuff, so it can be quite useful. Shimmermere for more flash. The Hospital, we return stuff. It's not the best, but again, it's another sort of Sun Titan type effect, so it can be kind of good there. The Defector Might gives us something protection, so again, and it's an artifact and a legend, so. Teshar is just one of the most classic cards that goes into these types of strategies again, so pretty useful. And that is the list here for today. You guys, as always, I'd love to hear what you guys think of this list. Let me know your thoughts down there in the comments below. And hope you've enjoyed and hope you'll join me again in the next one.